I was signing the divorce papers when my phone buzzed. 3 vibrations. Her code. I didn't look at it. I already knew what it would say. That morning, weeks earlier, before the paperwork, before the knives came out, I'd given my lunch to a gypsy woman outside the courthouse. She had watched me eat for a while, eyes like old glass, and I felt embarrassed by the fullness in my bag. I handed it over. She smiled without teeth. I turned to leave. Her daughter caught up with me. Small, serious, too calm for a child. "If you want to live," she whispered, breath barely touching my ear, "tomorrow morning don't be the first to leave your house." I laughed, softly, kindly. I don't believe in warnings delivered like movie trailers. I believe in contracts, evidence, human stupidity. But the next morning, I pretended I'd already left. I turned on my voice recorder, and I waited. That was the day my life split cleanly down the middle. I met Mara 12 years ago in a stairwell that smelled like dust and burnt coffee. We were both broke, both ambitious, both pretending not to notice the cracks in each other. She loved that I planned everything. I loved that she made chaos look elegant. We built a life like a company, mergers, compromises, growth, marriage, a house with too many windows, a business that bore my name but ran on her charm. Trust wasn't something we talked about, it was assumed. That's how it gets you. Betrayal doesn't announce itself, it leaks. It leaked through missed calls, through passwords changed without warning, through the way she angled her phone away from me, just slightly, through a name I didn't recognize that kept appearing on shared calendars, then disappearing. I didn't confront her. I watched. The undeniable moment came on a Tuesday. I came home early and heard laughter upstairs, not hers, or rather, not just hers. I stood at the bottom of the stairs, coat still on, listening to the sound of my life being revised without me. I left quietly. Control is power. I kept mine. That night I made a list, not of feelings, of assets. The morning after the warning, I sat in my car down the street and listened to the recording. At 7:42 a.m., Mara's voice drifted through the speakers. Calm, focused. She was on the phone. "He's gone," she said. Now. Footsteps, drawers opening, a pause, then a man's voice, low, impatient. The name from the calendar. They weren't stealing jewelry, they were stealing documents, originals, insurance, deeds, things that only matter when you're planning something permanent. At 7:58, she said, "We have a window." At 8:01, the gas line hissed. I shut off the recorder with shaking hands and drove away slowly. I didn't call the police. Not yet. Revenge isn't loud, it's layered. I moved money before she noticed it missing. Perfectly legal transfers buried in quarterly adjustments she'd never read. I forwarded emails to myself, flagged texts, logged timestamps. I updated my will, changed beneficiaries, added cameras she thought were smoke detectors. I hired a lawyer who smiled without warmth and asked questions like scalpels. When Mara finally confronted me, she expected tears, rage, bargaining. I gave her coffee and a smile. She relaxed. That was her mistake. The climax didn't happen in a courtroom. It happened in our living room, the night I played the recording. I watched her face as her own voice filled the space. The confidence drained first, then the color. The man's voice followed, unmistakable, damning. "You tried to kill me," I said calmly, "and you almost did, if I'd believed in routines more than whispers." She reached for me. I stepped back. I handed her the folder, copies of everything, bank statements, insurance changes she'd initiated without realizing I'd countered them, the clause in our prenup she'd never bothered to read. "You get nothing," I said, "and you get charged." The silence was exquisite. Now, sitting alone with the papers finally signed, I think of the girl's whisper. I don't know if it was intuition or something older. I don't care. Betrayal taught me this. Some warnings sound like superstition until they save your life. Mara will spend years explaining herself to people who no longer believe her. I will sleep in a house that no longer smells like gas. Justice doesn't always feel like victory. Sometimes it feels like breathing again. I left my lunch that day and walked away lighter. I came back for my life.